If you were no longer affected by the judgment of others and you stopped judging yourself, would you make different choices? Why make choices in your life based on judgments instead of on your awareness of what would create the life and living you desire? Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices Radio Show, Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm.
Well, hello. How are you all doing tonight? This is Christine. I am your host of Inspired Choices Radio Show, and you are listening to the kindness category. Tonight we're going to be talking about kindness. Who's got some? It is going to be an interesting show because what I am perceiving is there's not enough of it in the world, for damn sure. So before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a possibilities coach, and I love to work with individuals both personally and in their business. It is something that really stirs me on. I absolutely love to see the changes that I know are possible with people. I love creating with individuals and changing things so that they can have it all. Are you ready to have it all? Are you ready to say, you know what, I know something else was better. Something else is possible. I know, it is going to happen now. If you are ready for more of that, I'd love to hear from you because it doesn't have to be difficult to change your world. It absolutely can happen very, very quickly. You do not have to wait lifetimes and lifetimes. You do not have to, go through huge waiting time periods in order to create what it is that you desire. I have way more than a toolbox. I actually have a huge flatbed truck full of tools. I've been adding to that flatbed for years and years and years. I am a professionally trained coach. I was in human resources for 20 years. I've had my own business for 8 years. I am happily divorced, which actually speaks to one of my programs, Divorce with Dignity. I teach people how to show up in the world, how to be visible. I am a radio show host and producer and the owner of this station. And I show people how they can create in the world. I show people how they can do that in their businesses. I talk to people about their bodies. I talk to people about what it is that they desire and teach them that they can indefinitely deserve to have it all. I have a lot of different programs. I have a program, as I said, Divorce with Dignity. I also have a program I love doing. It's called Beyond the BS Business Studies. It is a 6-month weekly call where we work one-on-one and we dive deep into all details regarding your business. And we really look at some of the places and spaces where there may be gaps. Now, there may be a lot of places that you don't have gaps, but you may have some gaps that we can actually change. So, would you be interested in learning more about that? I would love to hear from you. You can email me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca, and I would love to answer any questions for you, or you can give me a call, whatever works for you. But what I really do know is that these things that we've all been buying that aren't possible are so possible, and I would love to hear from you. So I also have a program called Changing the Conversation with Suicide. It's a program that I have been doing for some time individually with individuals, for some time, as well as I've been doing this, did it through a program that it was a 3-call teleseries, and it's a fabulous program that we've really stepped into, and unfortunately at this time of the year, it is something that's going on for a lot of people or does come up. It happens to be one of the, unfortunately, most active times for suicide. I know this on a very personal level with a family member, and you know what? It doesn't have to be that way. It actually can be very, very different. So if you would like to check with me about that, I would love to hear from you as well. I as well do the Access Consciousness classes. I have the bars class that I do. I just had one this past week, and it was fabulous. We had so much fun. And I have the foundation class, which is a 4-day class. And I'll tell you, it unlocks belief systems, limitations, shows you where what we've been sold in a lot of places in this reality is absolutely crazy, and invites you into more. You get so much out of that class. It's actually mind-blowing how much we give you in that class. And that class, I have one coming up November the 24th to 27th in the Toronto area. And the Beyond the BS business class, that is beginning Tuesday, November the 15th. And you can be joining the business class from anywhere in the world. And the foundation class or the bars class, you would need to join in person. And all of the other personal coaching I do over the phone, I do over Skype or over Zoom. So whatever works for you, we can deliver. So let's get on to tonight's topic, kindness. Who's got some? Are you looking for the kindness in the world? Do you require some at work, or maybe in your love life, in your family, possibly in your body? How about your bank account? What if kindness is already there? Would you like to join the conversation to change what isn't working in the world? First of all, everywhere we're buying that we have to look for the kindness outside of us in order to actually have it, can we maybe change that one? Can we maybe look to possibly knowing that we have it? We already have it? The problem with us always looking outside for anything, including kindness, is that we're always going to be, at some point, deficient. Because who do you come into this world with? You. And who do you leave the world with? You. It's not that you have to be alone in the world, but the fact of the matter is you are an individual. And you are journeying here with you, right? So if you are always looking outside of you for the kindness on those moments when you are not with someone and when you are not around anyone, connected to anyone, you can be deficient with kindness if you are not having that kindness for you. Now, a lot of people will say, yeah, I'm kind to myself, I'm kind to myself. And then when we start to look at, when we start to really dive in and look at where we are truthfully being kind or where we're not being kind, we can often find out that, yeah, I'm not as kind to myself as I really would like to be. And, you know, I'm going to dive really deeply into some personal areas in my life where I've discovered that with myself. And I've discovered that with a lot of clients as well. And it sometimes can really trigger a lot of emotions when we realize that we haven't been that kind with ourselves, and where we've bought into, that, yeah, exactly. Keisha says kindness can be a kick in the behind. Yes, darling, abso-friggin-lutely. But when we really discover how much we haven't been kind to ourselves, it can be quite an emotional trigger at times, because when we really get that the kindness starts at home, that the kindness starts within, that in order to have kindness and receive kindness in the world, and to be able to, quote unquote, see the kindness in the world, we must be able to, first of all, experience it within us. So if we are not familiar with what kindness looks like, if we're not willing to demand that we have the kindness. And sometimes we have to demand it from ourselves because we get into these habits. It's like, especially if you're a mother, right? If you're a caregiver, a mother, even if you're a mother to pets, we're putting other people and other choices, other beings ahead of us. So many times. We've been taught this in the world, that we're to give. It's better to give than receive. You know what? That was just banged into my head growing up. And I don't mean from my parents necessarily, definitely within the church that I grew up in, but most certainly in the world. We heard that so many times, it's better to give and receive. Start looking around and see how many times you see that, especially with, the holidays coming up, with Thanksgiving, I know in the U.S., and then Christmas around the world, and certainly other denominations have different celebrations. But when it comes to these big celebrations, Keisha just said Barfalola. I'm not sure, is that a celebration, Keisha, or are we just making that one up? But a lot of people will start to say that it's better to give and receive. How much has that actually been something that's been used against us? It's been actually turned as a way to control us, so that we will be guilted into making a choice, right? In the churches, you're walking through the malls, right? And you're inundated with, hey, will you give, will you give, will you give? And I am not against giving. Don't get me wrong. I've had many amazing people give to me and gift to me, and I've been incredibly touched and grateful. I receive beautiful contributions every day from individuals. I got to tell you about a story of what I've been doing this week and how I've been choosing kindness. But, we're everywhere, everything that we're doing, everywhere we're being, in the world, there's people that are handing out, will you give, will you give, will you give, will you give? And, just check in on, are you giving from the place of guilt? Or are you actually giving because that's a choice that you would truly like to make? You go anywhere, you go to the grocery stores, you go to the liquor stores, you go to all sorts of places. Would you like to donate? Would you like to donate? Would you like to donate? And, the cashiers, I know they don't probably give a hoot, but you're looking at them, you're like, oh my God, what is she going to think of me? What is he going to think of me if I don't give right now? Oh my God, is he going to think I'm like cheap? Is he going to think that I'm unkind? How much of the world is being pulled on the guilt? And is that actually kind? Wow, I'm just getting a download of something. If you're actually receiving from guilt, how yummy is that gift? Or is it laced with resentment and negative energy? Is it really kind to the person receiving? And is it kind to you, the giver? I would say no. It's just like, can you just perceive all of that heaviness? Okay, so, wow, you never know where these radio shows are going to go, right? So I would love for you to come in and play. We're in the chat room. You just go to the website, click on chat room, come back in and play. In the chat room, Keisha and I are in here playing. Some other peeps are coming along. And or maybe you'd like to call in and ask some questions. If you're in the U.S., 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us, a2zen.fm. I'd love to take your questions, comments, or maybe even you have an idea of how you can be kinder to you or to others. So stick around. You are listening to Inspired Choices Radio. Tonight we're talking about kindness. Who's got some? See you soon.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions, or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Oh, welcome back, everyone. Okay, so tonight we're talking about kindness and having some in the world and receiving some. And, there's so much right now. So this is October the 26th, 2016. If you're listening in the replay, there's so much intensity going on in North America regarding the U.S. politics. There's also intensity going on all over the world. Everybody has big things and little things going on, but there seems to be a great deal of intensity happening right now. And what I've observed is it's been growing over the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years. It's been getting more and more intense. And people, are not feeling nurtured, are not feeling that there's a great deal of kindness out there. There's been a lot of financial challenges in the world, which has actually led employers to be making a lot of choices that impacts an employee on a financial level. A lot of people may be losing jobs, therefore they're not able to keep their homes, feeling that the banks are unkind to them, parents maybe not being able to give to their children what they've desired, the children having possibly expected it, children feeling that their parents aren't being kind, or people doing comparison to the people next door, and it's unfair, it's not kind, the world's unkind. We're looking outside constantly, and we are looking at all the places and spaces where things are unkind. And guess what? You're going to find it. You're going to find the crap in the world if you're looking for it. And I agree. Things have been incredibly intense. And things have been difficult. And what I know, in order for us to change any of that, be a contribution to that change, or for us to be able to move through it and beyond it, we need to start with looking at the kindness for us. So earlier tonight, I was actually speaking with a client, and we were talking about how vulnerable this client had to be. She's in a tough spot, and she had to ask for some help. She actually had to ask for some help, and in doing that, she was gutted by having to ask for it. It was, all these old crap about shame, like we were talking about earlier, shame and guilt was coming up. feeling like, she shouldn't have to do that, or what does that mean when she's doing that, and all of that old crap that many of us experience for sure in feeling, sometimes people might feel humiliated, they might feel like they're not good enough, that they haven't been able to do it, and what really popped when we were talking is, I said, how much are you unwilling to be kind to yourself in not receiving the kindness of others? Can you get that? So how much are all of us unwilling to be kind to ourselves in not receiving the kindness of others? When you're unwilling to receive kindness from another person, you're not being kind to you. So it's kind of like double whammy, right? It's like a 2 knockout thing. And so the unkindness piece that we're stepping into in not receiving is absolutely huge. And how can we receive kindness from people if we're not actually willing to ask? Are you willing to ask for kindness in the world? Are you willing to put up your hand when you're struggling? Not from a place of being pathetic, but from a place of saying, I'm stuck. I'm really stuck, and I could really use some kindness. Oh my gosh, I am telling you that when you start to practice asking and being willing to drop all of your walls, and you're willing to just be a little vulnerable, there will be people that will be like, oh my God, are you kidding? Of course. And do you know why people are so willing to be kind, are so willing to jump in when you ask? It's because they would love to contribute, but also because they too themselves would love to be able to be in that position to contribute. You see, most of the world is actually more willing to give than receive. So the real trick here is that the kindness that is actually lacking more than anything else in the world is the kindness we be to ourselves. The kindness we are willing to be and receive for ourselves. You see, when you begin to really look at this and you really get that, hey, I'm not being kind to me, so how can I have that and be matched by anyone else? Sometimes the kindness is saying to a client, you know what, I can't respond tonight to your text or your email because I'm choosing to be kind to me. I'm choosing to just relax and not jump in and take on something else right now. Sometimes the kindness that you be to yourself is saying, I'm actually going to really invest some time into seeing what other amazing foods there are in the world. I've been doing that over the last 10 days. If you have been listening to any of my past radio shows, like a few weeks ago, I had a wonderful woman on by the name of Sarah Bradford, and she does a thing called the community dump. And it's a cleansing, but it's not a withholding of food. It's like there's been so much food, and I chose to do this with her. And today is actually the last day of the community dump. And we were talking about what we will continue to choose going forward. And I'm telling you, this has been one of the kindest things that I've chosen for me. Because just like many people, I got into a rut with food, and it's been impacting my body. It hasn't been enjoyable to eat the same thing over and over and over again. You know, I'm a busy woman. I have my own business. I love creating, and I had been neglecting creating a lot in the kitchen. So one of the kind things that I did for myself was actually to choose this and to choose to reinvest in some time to get to know foods. And oh my gosh, there are things in my kitchen I've never had before. There are foods I've eaten in the last 10 days I didn't even know existed. And people will probably be like, where have you been? But I'm telling you, this woman created variety. Like, wow. I've got more spices here than, like, seriously. Maybe my friends could come over and start cooking because I don't know that I'm ever going to use up all these spices. It's been amazing. But it's been one of the kindest things for me. So a really wonderful kind thing for me going forward is going to be to continue to explore new dishes and new recipes and to see what my body would enjoy and what would be kind and nurturing to my body. So are you willing to stop and take the time to actually enjoy that part of your life? Are you willing to be kind to you and maybe say to others, you know, I need to take an hour to wind down before I go to bed, or I need to take a half an hour to just wake up with sweetness and kindness and gentleness by maybe laying in my bed and reading a book for half an hour before I get out of bed, or having a hot bath in the morning to just love my body up, or going for a gorgeous walk. Are you willing to start really looking at the places and spaces where you are or are not being kind to you? You know, one of the biggest places where we're unwilling to be kind is in the asking by our actions and interactions with other people. I do a lot of coaching. As I said earlier, I have a program called Divorce with Dignity. And a lot of times I'm working with one of the participants in a marriage, and they have, to some degree, been abused through unkindness, through unkind words or unkind actions. And we really start to dig into where we're not looking at the other partner as much as we're really looking at what are they not, where have they not been willing to be kind to themselves in their relationships, in their partnerships. And it's amazing when people are actually able to receive that communication. It's really, really amazing where they start to see that, you know what, wow, I actually created this unkindness I've been receiving. And sometimes it takes a little while. I know it took me a good while to really get there because I held a lot of anger and resentment. But now I see that I created that with my partner. And now I'm willing to actually look at where I've willing to be kind to me in relationship, in asking for what I desire, whether that's, you know, an intimate relationship, that's with my family, my children, my partners, my colleagues, the people that work with me here on the station, in any aspect of my business. I'm actually willing to speak to what is kind and what isn't. And that can be a process. So we're going to go for our next break. And when we do, I would love to invite you to look at the places and spaces where you would like to have more kindness, and then be willing to turn the mirror and be willing to be vulnerable with yourself and really look at, where have I not been kind to myself in this area? Because when you can really get to that space, then you can start to ask for it and then receive it from the other people in the world. So we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about kindness and where we can be receiving more of it. And we're actually going to talk about money and kindness. So stick around, everyone. You're listening to Inspired Choices Radio, and we'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right. So, here we are. We are talking about kindness. And before we went for our break, we were talking about being kind to you in all areas of your life. So how many places did you find that you were looking for kindness? How many areas of your life did you find that you were looking for kindness? More than 3? More than 5? More than 7? Wow, those are really light. Okay, so the exercise that you can really start to do, yeah, here's a couple. Exactly. So one of the exercises that you can start to do is really start to list this down. Start to be willing to look at it. And when you write it out, I find that it really has a lasting impact on you paying attention to the kindness and where the areas of your life where you're receiving it or not receiving the kindness. So when you're putting that down, then you can start to look at those areas and then, as I said, turn the mirror and say, where am I not being kind to me in this area? So an area that just popped up is all of the intense politics in the world, right? So it's so easy to get pulled into all of that intensity and anger that's going on in the world. And yes, I stay informed. Yes, I listen to the news. Yes, I tap into the debates that are going on and so on. But here's how I be kind to me. I get the Coles notes of it. I don't sit and watch the entire thing. I don't sit and watch the entire news for the whole half hour or hour. I get the Coles notes. That's kind to me. I get the facts. I don't need to be pulled into the trauma and drama of it. I stay informed. I can make some socially productive choices in this, and I don't have to get upset and get angry or sad or whatever the case may be. For me, if you're a very sensitive person, if you're really aware of what's going on, I can watch the news and hear about a tragedy, and I'm telling you, I can actually find myself being glued and watching the same message over and over again, which has me really tap into all of the people in the world that are so sad and so upset and so impacted by that event. And that's not kind to me. So I pay attention to that. So where I'd like to dive in next is I'd like to dive into money and kindness. So let me ask you, are you kind to you with money? No. So that's a little heavy. So first of all, you got to start looking at, what do you think money is? Where do you believe, what's your belief systems around money? Like there's not enough of it, or you got to work really hard to get it, or, it's always the big guys that have the money. I never have enough at the end of the month. Like, how much in your life have you bought into these things, a little or a lot, that's actually creating a point of view about money? And then when how angry are you at money that you don't have it, right? Like, damn, I don't have enough again. And it's like, even a little bit of that frustration is a projection at your money. So if money was your children, money wouldn't want to come home, right? So how much are you actually super unkind to the money and super unkind to you regarding your money? Because if you're not willing to look at what you're choosing and what you're creating, you're being unkind to you with money. How many people out there are not aware of where they spend their money? Seriously. Especially moving into the holidays. It's like, okay, here we go. How much space do we have on the credit cards? And then they just go hog wild with the credit cards and they don't pay attention to it. How many people out there don't really pay attention to where they are at with their money or their credit cards or their expenses until the phone's ringing off the wall because we're behind, or until there's no more room on the credit cards, right? How many people are not honoring themselves with money? And I'm here to tell you, you need to pull your head out of your ass on this one, because you know what? You're the only one, truthfully, you're the only one that can be kind to you with money. If you're not tracking your money and you're not doing the friggin' heavy lifting to get to that space of being completely aware with money, you're not being kind to you with money. You're not being kind to you with your life. You're not being kind to you with your body, because guess what? It takes money to be kind to you with your body in many different areas. I'm not saying you have to have money all the time, but hey, even if you want to take a hot shower, you need to be able to have a place that you live in, number one, and then you need to be able to pay that hot water bill, right? So money, this is our reality. Our reality runs on money. And you are being completely unkind to you when you are choosing, and I'm saying that very deliberately, choosing to be ignorant with money. Now, there was a book that I read a long time ago. It's called The Wealthy Barber. It's a Canadian. He lives not far from me here in Toronto. He wrote this book. It's a great book. And I heard several years later he came out with a second version after he had the first version, and he was being interviewed by one of my favorite interviewers, George Stromalopoulos, and I might have butchered his last name, but lovely George. And this gentleman, the author, said that the thing that was different from the first version to the second version is something that I had been doing for years. So I was like, woohoo! And he didn't believe that actually tracking your money actually created greater. And it absolutely does. And this is what he started to do it. And then he conceded and said, yeah, it makes a huge difference. So one of the things that I do with a lot of my clients is I actually help them to dive deep into a very vulnerable place around money. And I actually show them, I've created this template to help them to track the money. And it's not about spending less. It's not about doing without. It's about creating your knowledge around how you spend, where your money is, what you're creating with your choices, how much interest is accumulating, how long it's going to take you to pay it off, so that, you know, as you get all of this knowledge, right, you get all of this in front of you, you can then begin to make some very, very kind choices for you with money. It's really not difficult. It's not a difficult process to do, as in the steps, but it can be difficult to put your hand up and say, one, I could really use some kindness over here. Would anyone like to help me? And two, it's very, very difficult to be that vulnerable with yourself. And yeah, there's someone in the chat room. She says, every time we have this conversation, I cringe. And I get it, because there's still a part of me that there are places and spaces regarding money that I still cringe with myself. And I'm pretty damn diligent about it. And yet there's still wrinkles in my plan around it, and still places where I still have to step up more and more. But guess what? I desire to have more in my life. I desire to create more in the world. I desire to have more fun in the world. And I definitely desire to contribute more in the world to other people, especially people that, you know, have had difficult times. I love to be able to contribute. Nothing feels better than really gifting to someone who is struggling, knowing that you've made a huge difference in their world. But here's the deal, guys. If you don't get clear and you don't get kind with you with money, you can't do that. You cannot change the world on really big levels if you're not willing to get kind with you with money. If you're not willing to be really diligent at looking at everything, how can you expand your business? How can you seriously be a coach out there and coach people who have difficult times when you're not willing to dive into the sticky spots in your own life? And trust me, guys, if you know me, and I have a lot of amazing friends who know that I have lots of sticky spots. The one thing that I love about me is I'm willing to keep diving into them. Yeah, it's challenging, but you know what? I came here to create greater, and I came here to change the world, not only for others, but most especially for me. So that actually requires me to be the dominatrix of my life and to really step in and lean in strongly in the direction of more. And that requires me to be vulnerable, and that requires me to be kind to me when things aren't working. And being kind, so everywhere you have concluded that being kind is just sweet and love and easy peasy, would you like to give that up now? Because being kind to you sometimes is doing the tough stuff. Being kind to you is actually putting on your big girl pants, putting on your big boy pants, and stepping into the shit so you can change it. It's not always easy, but it is magical. It is breathtakingly magical when you get on the other side of it. Unless you just want to stay in the shit and you just want to keep, staying on the treadmill of the same old, maybe that works for you. Doesn't work for me. I wish to change it for me. So I'm willing to put my hand up. I'm willing to be kind to me and see where I've actually been unwilling to do the heavy lifting so that I can change it. So we are going to take our last break of the night. I would love to hear your comments or your questions in the chat room, or you can feel free to call me. And on the other side of the break, we'll continue and see where we go. Stay tuned, everyone.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions, or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Okay. So tonight we're talking about kindness. And I want to tell you, sometimes receiving kindness, the amount of kindness that some people can be in the world is kind of overloading sometimes. I got to tell you, I've been working on a new creation. It involves a lot of technology, and I'll be sharing that really, really soon. And there was a big piece of work that had to be done, and I was the only person that could actually do it, but I had no skills, no ideas, no knowledge on doing it. So I reached out to a company, and anyways, long story short, one of their customer service people went so above and beyond. It was absolutely breathtaking how much this person did. He probably worked with me a good 10 hours when he was not required to at all. It was not part of the package of what I had actually purchased. And at the end tonight, it was just an hour before I went on the radio, we completed it. And at the end of the call, he said, I hope I've helped you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you did so much. I'm so appreciative. And I was in tears. That amount of kindness, that willingness, and he didn't have to do it for goodwill. Trust me, his goodwill was paid in the first half hour. What this person did was phenomenal. There's a lot of kindness in the world if you'd be willing to ask and receive. And I know many people that are friends of mine, many people, they have gone above and beyond as well. But many of them, just like me, sometimes have a very, very difficult time in receiving it. So that's one question I'd like to ask you. Are you willing to receive kindness from others? Truly receive it without an expectation you have to give something in return, because that's not receiving. That's truly not receiving. When you play even Steven, that's not receiving. True receiving is just having your hands filled up with amazingness and receiving it and saying thank you is all that's required. That level of kindness changes the world. So one of our participants in the chat room says, as a kid, I learned to be unkind to me with money by settling for what was cheap instead of honoring myself and the money by choosing what I loved. I see how that is unkind to money as well, because I was not allowing it to contribute to me. Exactly. Being cheap, taking the least expensive thing is not kind to you, right? How many times, oh my God, I've done this so many times where I want to travel. So I hadn't been traveling before 2012. I barely traveled the world. And since then, I've probably been to at least 10 different places. But when I started out, I was like, okay, Like I'll get there on a dime, like the cheapest way I can get there. I'll squish into a seat, right, in a plane, in the cheapest plane that doesn't give any food or whatever. And then, I'll sleep in like wherever, in a hostel, or I'll sleep on the floor. I'll take the shittiest hotel. How kind is that to you and your body? It's not kind to you and your body. And you're also buying into that there's not money in the world waiting for you to choose it, right? I remember the day that I said I had actually gone to Venice, ended up sleeping on a 2-inch mattress for a week. And oh my God, I was so not happy, trust me. But I wasn't prepared for having to choose differently at that time. So it was what it was. But that taught me a lesson that I will never, ever choose that kind of nonsense again. And I don't. I do not choose less than places for my body to rejuvenate. I do not choose less than. I bought a brand new car a year ago, no longer choosing less than. I'm willing to ask and receive, and I'm willing to get aware with my money so I can choose greater. I have been doing that with my home as well. I have a beautiful home. I've been in here just a year in a couple of days, and prior to that, the situation wasn't great. I have been making the demand of myself more and more to be kind to me, and now what I'm creating in the world is the capacity for other people to receive more as well. And it's thrilling me to see how my choices to be kind to me are actually impacting others, and not always directly, which is really, really cool. So do you know that when you are being kind to you, that you can be impacting others too? Like, how amazing is that? So, folks, there are so many places and spaces where, yes, it would be lovely to have kindness come to us from others, from our jobs, from our partners, from all the places and spaces in the world. But you know what? It has to seriously start with you. And honestly, it's not that difficult. If you would start to receive it, it can happen so incredibly quickly. And you can change so much in your life. And you can create so much more joy. And so much more can be received that you literally, by receiving kindness from yourself, you literally will change the world, because your vibration will no longer be one of wishing and lack and frustration and sadness. You being kind to you changes the sadness in the world. How about that? So I would love, love, love to hear from you, what touched you about today's show, whether you're listening live or in the replay. It really does tell me, was I on the right track? Is there more that you would like to know about? I'd be super grateful if you would communicate with me. You can email me, Christine@inspiredchoices.ca, and I would love for you to join one of my classes. What I've been creating in the world is making me happy, and I know by the testimonials I'm receiving from others, it's changing things for them. So, as I said, the Beyond the BS Business Class Studies is going on. We're starting a new class beginning Tuesday, November the 15th. It's a weekly call. And also the foundation class that I am doing here in the Toronto area, November the 24th to the 27th. And, of course, always my personal coaching, business coaching, one-on-one, and personal coaching, whether you're struggling at work, struggling with your career, struggling with a relationship, maybe even just learning to be more kind to you. So, folks, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me next week here on Inspired Choices Radio, where we'll have another topic that will be inviting you to more. Remember, you can always make another choice. Stay tuned.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.